Today's topic of introduction will be with respect to the ninth session, which is talking on the transformation of the youth through the scriptures, which is so important for every youth to understand for themselves what are the various tips, techniques, or what the scriptures are saying. What is the missing connect which we have lost over a period of time with our scriptures in gaining this the kind of the transformational skill sets within the youth. So we will Dr. Venkat Barla garu has been kind enough to share his knowledge, his research, and his works on the this particular aspect of transformation of the youth using the scriptures. So over to you, Dr. Venkat Barla garu. Sir, please.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Mr. Dilip, Mr. Niranjan Rao garu, and Sujata garu, and other August audience who are here. I am fortunate I've got this opportunity to share these few views with you today. Unfortunately, the connectivity is very bad, so we would spend more time on question answers, and then I would briefly finish before it switches off. This session is about inspiring youth on the educational nuances with the scriptures and the lessons thereof. We were doing earlier a pure review of the scriptures, particularly the Upanishads, but then last week we thought we would be able to connect the youth also with this. So this is a kind of an experiment we are doing to just make it more inclusive with all the people, youth and others in the session. So I hope more people will join. But in any case, people who are here, we would make it an experiment of this kind that we are doing, so that this becomes a foundation for our future sessions. Because we are finishing all the top 10 Upanishads very soon. Later on, we would like to diversify into the areas where we can connect more people, particularly the youth. So this particular experiment is that, and we hope we will go across this well. And then my prayers for all the people who are here. Now, I was laying my hands on the Taittiriya Upanishad today, and Taittiriya Upanishad has many parts. Majorly, part 1, which is Siksha Valli. Valli is a section, Siksha is a training, Siksha Valli. Part 2 is Ananda Valli. Part 3 is Bhrigu Valli. Bhrigu Maharshi had mentioned this, so it's Bhrigu Valli. Now, how we connect this to the educational scenario of the youth? Before Christ, before 2000 more years ago, it was Guru Sishya Parampara. There were no books. Publication of literature came with Bible and subsequent books and literature which came in. But education essentially, whether it is Indian education or education in the other countries and other cultures, other civilizations, the education was oral transmission. Guru Sishya Parampara, where a guru, who is a learned person, who has heard the scriptures from the divine, from the heavens, he has understood, because of his divine knowledge, he has understood, and then he would transmit orally. It's called oral tradition. Orally to his disciples. That is how the name Upanishads came in, which we saw earlier. Even in Christian mythology, if you see, all the 12 Sishyas, 12 disciples of Jesus Christ, were taught by oral tradition only, not with any books. Even back to that, if you look at, even before Christ, if you look at the Old Testament, in the Old Testament also, everything happened by oral tradition only. come to the Quran, again Muhammad Prophet.
Hello, sir. We lost you.
Yeah,
Hello.
Muhammad Prophet heard the whole thing
Yeah.
and transmitted the knowledge to his disciples. That's how the thing came. But somewhere down the line, after the Talapatra Granthas, we started printing the literature. That's how the current knowledge of transmission through the books had come in. Now, Taittiriya Upanishad talks about Guru Sishya Parampara. In the first Valli, which is Shiksha Valli has 12 sections, Anuvakams. They're called Anuvakams. Anuvakam 1, Anuvakam 2, Anuvakam 11, 12, and so on. When the Guru talks, when the Maharshi talks, the Sishya understands everything. And in Shiksha Valli, the 12 Anuvakams are: number 1, righteousness; number 2, the phonetics and articulation. Number 1 is how to be righteous, and the first qualification to be a disciple is his loyalty and righteousness. Having had that, he would have ability on phonetics, pronunciations, understanding, perception, and articulation. Then the third one is, the second one, part B, is Swadhyaya. He should be able to understand himself. He should be able to learn by himself. Anuvakam 3 is about sounds and how sound connects everything, the lower world, the upper world, and still upper world. Everything is connected. The man, the human soul, is connected with the sound to all the worlds. That was Anuvakam 3 is talking about. Then in Anuvakam 4, after these basic qualifications of the Sishya, then the Anuvakam 4 talks about prayer of the teacher. The prayer of the teacher consists of invocation to gods to keep the students loyal to him. Their motivation, their spirituality, their loyalty and commitment to what Guru is teaching. For all these things, Guru will do his prayer, invocation to the Supreme Conscience. That is Anuvakam 4. Anuvakam 5 is Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Breathing in, breathing out, and in between the pauses and so on. Anuvakam 6 talks about the Atman. You have an Atma, and everything is happening through Atma. That's what the understanding. Anuvakam 7 is about microcosm and macrocosm, the tiniest world and the biggest world, how you connect both. Anuvakam 8 is about the awe. Dilip Garu mentioned quite vividly about the awe. Anuvakam 9 is ethical duties of human beings. Anuvakam 10, the Guru and Sishya understand that they are the prime movers. They can move mountains by proper understanding. They can create, they can do Srishti, Ki Pratisrishti, they can do. The power of human imagination, the belief thereof, is described in Anuvakam 10. Anuvakam 11 gives golden rules. Never do anything wrong. Never err. Never leave your dharma. Never neglect your duty, your health, and your well-being. Be always in swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means understanding yourself and understanding by yourself. A student, all of us, if you see, we recollect that a lot of learning has happened by self, by self-effort, by learning, by reading, by understanding others, by observing others, and so on. It's all a part of Swadhyaya. And finally, Anuvakam 12 is the student's oath. Student takes an oath so that he would be loyal, that he would learn, that he would have his commitment, he would do hard work, because understanding everything without books and without writing or pen and pencil, simply by oral tradition, is something a gigantic talk, and it's not easy. Therefore, a commitment of the student to the education is mentioned in Anuvakam 12. So these 12 Anuvakams, which are parts of Siksha Valli, are the bedrock or basic foundation of the education those days. And later on, as the oral tradition, as the written material came, books came, then the lot of these things have vanished, and we got into something else. That is what the Anuvakam, the 1 to 12 and Siksha Valli is talking about. Basically, it's about Guru Sishya Parampara, commitment of the Guru, commitment of Sishya, the various kinds of things that a Sishya is supposed to do in order to do the Shisharikam or the disciple studentship under a Guru. Now, Anandavalli is again understanding of the self. It says there are 6 levels within yourself. Like earlier in the first talk, second talk, we talked about 5 layers, and then from outermost to innermost, and then to the Brahmin we transgress. That is what the Anandavalli is talking about. But the titles here are different. The outermost is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. It's a bliss, acquisition of bliss, finally. And those days, the emphasis on materialistic world was practically nil. Although they did live in the physical world, but the physical world and the things that we are doing today were absent those days. Education was understood as a different process altogether. It's a process of understanding oneself, understanding God. The purpose of life is to discover the God and discover yourself and align with the God and finally reach the God, which is heaven. So that was the purpose of the whole thing. The later on, over the millennia, what happened was that we've gone away from the original world, what we were, and we have gone astray, and we've gone into this level, and we have been talking about it frequently. That is how it is. So Anandavalli talks about the 6 layers of oneself and the Brahman within. The third one is the Bhrigu which is the last part of Taittiriya Upanishad. The Bhrigu talks about the oaths. Student has to take certain oaths, promises, commitments. Number of oaths were listed, very long list of oaths a student is supposed to take. And finally, he would give a declaration. A student would give a declaration that, yes, I dedicate myself, my life to this purpose, and I would do what Guru my guru says. So the whole thing about the Taittiriya Upanishad is simply about the commitment of student and commitment of guru to the cause of education. And we have basically three things come to my mind about the whole thing that is written in Taittiriya Upanishad. Number one, the commitment of the student and his exploration of within and outside. In other words, it is the self effort. The way I have learned English, the way you have learned English, it is not that you go to a classroom, take a book, read and write the LSR method of learning English, and so on. This is what the education in the British era, maybe much earlier in the post-Christ era, in the last 2000 odd years, we have seen. But earlier, it is all the self-exploration, self-learning. The guru was a facilitator of the learning process. This is what is missing in today's education. If you look at the subsequent education in the British era, for example, our education was totally neglected. The Indian education was completely demolished. The Guru Sishya Parampara, or whatever you call it, and it was completely demolished, and they never allowed Indians to learn. And later on, of course, the commissions came, the Indian independence started, because we need to talk about this. It's a long period. We need to talk about this when the foundations for Indian education were laid in the pre-British era, in the first, I would say, 18th and 19th century, or early part of 20th century. The education flourished. Indians got into education, and commissions came, and so on. And after the independence, of course, we took over our educational system, and we commenced the University Grants Commission and many commissions like that. And there was a Mudaliar committee. There were various kinds of committees were established. Through these committees, we have been taking the educational process. But the yawning gap between our past and our present is that we have become book-oriented people, and our learning is confined to books. It is not an open-ended learning where creativity can be unlimited. It is a syllabus, it is a book, it is a teacher, it is a classroom. These are the entities within which my learning is confined. Therefore, it is limited. The creativity has vanished. The innovation has vanished. And more so, in 21st century, education has become nothing but learning, software, internet, Google, WhatsApp, and things like this. So we have lost touch with science. We have lost touch with nature. We are not caring for the nature because we have stopped understanding nature. We have come out of the nature. That's the reason we have all these troubles, the global warming and whatnot. So it is all happening because of the destruction of the education. The education, the holistic education, the education where a student becomes an unlimited entity. Now he has become a limited small microcosm where if he learns these many questions, these many important paragraphs, it's enough. I am done. I acquire some degree, I go to Amirpet, learn some certificate course, and I get a job. So it has all become a an education to earn a few dollars, and it is not education for the life, education for discovery of the self, education for the discovery of the Supreme Brahmin. Gone are those days. We have completely come long way away from those things. Now, my questions, I leave this session open for discussion with a couple of questions. Now, how do we rebuild the student? How do we rebuild the teacher? How do we rebuild the learning environment, which is completely gone? I am not saying we should go back to Guru Sishya Parampara, which is not practically possible. Thus far, we have already come away from the original what we were. But then we can't leave it to the kind of thing which it is today. We need to find a Madhya Margam, a middle path, and see that we find our roots and we re-establish our education, our commitment to education. How a guru, a teacher, can really become a teacher or play a role of a teacher. How a student understand all the features of the student that we talked in the Siksha Vali of the Taittiriya Upanishad, or how do we learn from how the Jesus Christ taught his disciples, or the Prophet Muhammad transferred the Quran to his disciples. These are the gigantic questions educational system, educational policy has to address, and it's really frightening. It's really frightening to see where we are going, and we thought the bringing back the scriptural knowledge of the scriptures will help the teaching and learning community. That's the purpose of this session. So I would stop here. There is nothing much to say unless we go across the hymns one by one and discuss on all this, which we are not, because we have gone away from the method of dealing the Upanishad or Quran or Bible verse by verse, but we wanted to draw those anecdotes and transmit to the student community. So I would give the session, leave the floor open to the questions. Over to you, Mr. Niranjan.
Okay, thank you, sir. Actually, I think it's been well addressed of the system of education, which has been creating the kind of new innovative methodologies and a new innovation which comes from within the self of a human being in terms of learning and creation of the knowledge. But like you rightly pointed out, we have lost somewhere in between because of this machines which have come, especially the era of internet, the era, I would call it as the Android and iOS mobile generation. I think I would call it that way, as an Android and iOS mobile generation. I think those are the points. So I just put in a question there, sir. Probably, may I read the question once again? How do we impart this as per the kind of commitment in this Android and iOS mobile generation for the teacher-student relationship? We are missing the core human element, the touch of human, the touch of nature as a social being. The generation is exposed to too much of machine learning relationship and not social teacher relationship. So what do you propose, sir? What kind of methodologies or methods do we need to employ at the level of the parents, at the level of the students, at the level of the teachers, at the level of the institutions, such that we are able to create the right learning ecosystem? Dr. Venkat Barla garu, open to you, sir. I think we may pose this kind of a discussion. It's open for the platform. Please
Sir,
do
can
share
I
your
come in?
thoughts.
Can I come in? Here,
Yeah,
this is
please.
PV Rao.
Yeah, PV Rao.
I want to share my screen here.
Please.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I think you might permit or no need.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. People are able to see my screen?
No, you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
I'll just give you the permission. Give me a second. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
able to share your screen now.
Yeah. Yes. Say, I have a lot of videos and all, which I collected over a period of time. A lot of knowledge, of the complete ancient Indian history, So I'll just share with you something very touchy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll quickly, I'll send this to any one of you, and then possibly this can be shared. I'll not run through all, but I'll just show you glimpses of what exactly it is. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what actually some of the stalwarts, philosophers, historians, scientists, they have commented about India, like Jagat Chakai. So many of the advances in the sciences that we consider today have been made in Europe, in fact, made in India centuries ago. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. India conquered and dominated China, culturally for 20 centuries without even having to send a single soldier. We owe a lot to Indians who taught us how to count without etc. So this is about 10, 12, slides, which I will not definitely take anybody's time now. I'll just send this, it can be circulated. This is a wonderful.
Yeah. You are there as a part of the Upanishad group, right, sir?
No, only Mr. Rajmani sent me this yesterday or today, and then I joined today.
Okay, so maybe you can share your mobile handphone
I'll
number,
do that.
and I'll include you into the WhatsApp group, sir. You can share it there.
Sure,
yeah.
I'll do that. And this is known to us. I don't know how many people remember this. When Britishers and all were ruling us, okay, this is what Lord Macaulay said that. I have traveled across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people with caliber, and I don't think that we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation,
which is
our spiritual and cultural heritage.
That's
therefore, we know this. Let's get it back into the minds of the people, the whole world now. Okay, number 2. Number 3, there are so many videos. I'll not waste people's time. This is fantastic. Okay, I'll play this. When I played this, people could not hear the audio. Let me see whether you people to see the audio or not. No? So this is actually 5,000 plus years of Indian. See the very name, the educational heritage of ancient India. Talked by Sahana Singh, who is right now based in Singapore. She is a part of this region foundation. Okay, so Indic IHAR, they call it as Indic History Awareness Research. Stalwarts have been conducting research and all, So she really, did this about 45 minutes to 1 hour type of a video. Are you able to hear the audio?
No.
Okay. So you can. I'll share this again. She would come. How a universal system, how these were invaders and destroyed, all that. I'm just zipping through. So I'll go through a fair slide where she is wonderfully brought out the 5,000 years of ancient Indian history. Okay. Let me see if I'm able to get that right. Okay. So I want to get that picture, where the stalwarts are there, their photos are there. Bear with me for a minute.
Hello.
Give me just about half a minute. I want to get that picture,
Hello.
If you don't know history, then you don't know anything. You are a leaf that doesn't know, it's a part of tree. Okay. So just, I want to get that picture of stalwarts.
Hello, who's speaking?
Yeah, this is PV Rao. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Indic History Awareness Research, Sweden Foundation actually is one which is leading this. So many stalwarts have done, pioneering work. And one of them is Sahana Singh, she has really done a fantastic job of, collating the ancient Indian education system, the history. It's a fantastic video which can be watched. Okay. Then I can share a few other videos also, but I will not play now. These people are really brought out. India had been an economic superpower for millenniums. Till about 1700, our GDP was about 24% of the world GDP. Okay, and in fact, Mahatma Gandhi even commented, Britishers left us more illiterate than what they came than when they came in. When they didn't know civilization, they didn't know anything at all. India had university system.
Okay, so I
Okay,
just
so
shared the link, Andy,
yeah,
Mr. PV Ragaru, of
yeah.
the YouTube, which is
I'll send
there,
you the.
which you said. No, I just shared it in the group. It's already there with me.
Sure, I will
Yeah,
save this and
great.
then share these videos.
Yeah,
People can watch at their leisure, and
can,
yeah,
can.
that's it. Thank you.
Perfect, Andy. Excellent.
Yeah.
It's really a good effort. What I'm seeing is this, that PV Rao Garu has really put a lot of effort in, structuring the entire thing, and then he's saving that kind of an information. So these kind of efforts are very important, and this information has to go at the level of the schools, right,
Exactly.
right at the childhood. Right at the
Exactly.
childhood. So and then it has to go upwards. It is not a top-down approach. It is a top-down approach, but it
Shall
has to
I
go
shall
from
I
the bottom up.
shall I make one more statement?
Yeah, please.
Today one forward came, so many Christians in so many countries, so many Muslims, Sunni Muslims, so many countries, Hindus, there is no country at all. A type of a forward came today, but actually what we need to understand is, including Hindus, Muslims, Christians, whatever, because they are born into a family, that's it. They really, they don't have understanding their own religion. You understand what I'm saying? There's no
Agree.
understanding of the religion at all.
Yeah.
And and then their conflict, their fights, basically because of some fanatics and all. And please recall the Vivekananda speech. So we need to really, if you really explain in a very scientific manner, India will be the spiritual fountainhead. And then while we talked about Vedas, Upanishads, etc., kindly recall the advent of Kabir Sahab, Guru Nanak Sahab. These are all saints, religion of saints. They have explained the complete creation much beyond Brahmanda, much beyond Rama, Krishna, Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ. So, I mean, today the complete pioneering research is happening, taking place in the space of consciousness. Just forget religion, forget God, forget spirituality. Just come to the brass tacks. Consciousness. Come on, quantum computing, quantum communication, telecom. All those things are happening. But then there's a limit. The science has to stop. Science is all about only physical world here. There's much beyond, physical world, material world. So I'll definitely take this opportunity to share my views in due course, not today, because I have taken enough time of the people. I don't want to take more. Thank you. Yeah, I'm done.
Niranjan, audio, you have to unmute Niranjan.
Yeah, is my voice audible now?
Yeah. Now
Okay.
it's okay.
So may I ask PV Rao Garu to stop sharing his screen?
Yeah, exactly. How do I do that?
You just
I
need
mean,
to
share.
browse, take your cursor up. You will find there stop sharing.
Stop share. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, done.
Okay.
I've done. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
Nice of you to have listened to me.
No, it is a very good effort, and this is what is needed. And this platform is for this purpose, where we constantly interact, because the world is created by thinking minds. In the positive thinking minds, it is not created by people who are not thinkers. It is created by thinkers and positive thinkers. And I think this platform is creating such kind of an environment where we are creating this kind of positive thinkers. and it is a group effort. It is every individual's effort. ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఎంత వండర్ఫుల్ గా అవన్నీ కూడా స్ట్రక్చర్ చేశారో, such kind of things have to go to the youngsters, to the youth. It has to go to the parents. It has to go to the people who are working in the corporate world, and then they have to share with their peers, people who are leaders at various positions. They have to share with confidence, with authentic information with them, because India per se is lacking in one thing from my perspective. Today's generation, I'm not talking about the previous generations or the age old eons kind of a stuff, where the entire focus was on research and they were authentic kind of a disciplinic structure. Today we lost that. We are only referring to the researches which are based on the other worlds, but not our own research. I want to find a research data about India. It's so difficult to get that information.
Shall I make one statement here?
Please go ahead.
For the last 75-80 years, what you have been taught is, Islamic history as narrated by Britishers.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So they are the people who have a lot of distortion has happened, because I don't want to take the names of whether it is British or whoever these people. We don't want to take the names of those people right now.
With them, but let's understand.
The core, yes, that's right. But the core, what we want to focus is, what is it that we can do now? What is it that we can do now? How do we take it forward from here? That's the core. What is our contribution? What is it that we want to do? So I think it's like that. So Dr. Venkat Barla garu is on the phone with me. If any questions are there which are addressed to Dr. Venkat Barla garu, he is on a phone line with me because he's not there on Zoom, but I can address it to Dr. Venkat Barla garu and he could talk over. Yeah,
sir, we
please.
shall have few questions from the youngsters. I think
please.
they have some queries.
Please, that's a very good thing.
So Aparna, can you come out with your question?
Shall I put my system on?
That's what.
Yeah. Just give me a second. I'm doing that. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, that would be awesome. It was a different session kada, the Zoom kada.
అవునండి. Hello.
I can hear you, you can hear me. I can see you, you can see me.
అవును సార్.
This is our thing. Your and my videos. That's all.
Hello. Yeah. Am I able to, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, Niranjan.
Okay, good. So Dr. Sujata Garu was saying that some of the students might have some questions.
Yes, sir.
I think you should unmute Aparna.
I want to unmute Aparna. Okay. I've sent her the request to unmute. She can unmute herself. Aparna,
Yes.
unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can. Yeah, Aparna, I can hear you.
Sir, in the beginning you said there are some 3 parts and all, like Valli and all.
Okay.
Hello. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So it was actually not clear, sir. So, like, can you ask him to give a glimpse of it?
So Aparna is asking about the 3 valleys which you have suggested, sir. Once again, you want to join in, or shall we say that we will send her the document in our group?
That would be better.
I'll try to rejoin. Let me rejoin.
Yeah, please, sir. Please try. So, I'm cutting this phone, sir, here. Just give me a second.
No, but Aparna, you can ask or you can give your suggestion as how the same kind of, the thinking process which went on in the olden days, how can that be slowly instilled in the minds of the youngsters of the present generation? You can give your views, because you can only tell us how we can approach you, how we can, bring in that kind of insight into you.
Can I
I
just
mean,
add?
the question is not restricted to Aparna, any others also. Any others.
Can I add my bit here?
Yeah, please.
So I don't want to be seen as promoting X or whatever, my own practice or whatever, faith I follow. But rest assured, this is something the religion has evolved to its highest level of maturity and perfection. A. Religion of science is the answer for that. B. C. Dalbag Education Institute, which is Dalbag is an ashram in the city of Agra. With 16,000 students are really studying there. This curriculum designed by our sixth Sadguru, who was ex-vice chancellor of Lucknow University, who also happened to be our seventh Sadguru, which had been acclaimed by UGC as an innovation in education. Okay. C. D. They have a compulsory subject of comparative study of religions. All religions have been really, generally explained briefly, and then how this religion of science has come in and all that. Every religion, every incarnation, their complete, spiritual status, the location from which came, their conscious levels, their, regions, their influence, their deity, their sounds associated with everything has been explained. So, which means the ultimate knowledge in the simplest form is available, which will not take more than, a few hours to study. If you have to study Vedas, the Upanishads, we require this life, next life, and maybe the next few lives. No need at all. Straight away get into the practice of spiritual practices such as transcendental meditation, and comparative study of religion is one subject which is taught. I don't know. I mean, in the sense, we should now make it, compulsory across all the university system, college system, syllabus, etc. So you study all the religions. You study Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, how this religion came, what exactly is taught. Every incarnation has added value to the human life. Period. Okay. So this, I believe, is one of the ways where at least people understand. Oh, what is it? What is it? What is my religion? Whatever. And then see, which is, then Hinduism says, boss, question God, question and find out, Hinduism says. Okay, I'll send another document on this, where Germans are saying, if we have such a rich heritage of culture, music, dance, arts, etc., I would go onto the rooftops and then declare to the world about this is my heritage. I don't know why you Indians are feeling shy of, owning your own, heritage. And then he says 2.5 billion Christians have signed out of the church saying that, boss, church is imposing something on us, sorry. And gradually, Hinduism is, being seen as, a mother of all religions. Hinduism is not a religion; it's a framework of life. Okay, because I'm so passionate about this, so hence, I speak out.
Hello. Yeah. PV Rao Garu, you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct that one has to come out openly and then say this is the system and this is the structure. Whatever bad and ugly has happened in the previous history doesn't have to stop us from taking it forward to the next level. Yes, you rightly pointed out that we no need to be shy about the rich culture and the rich heritage of a very scientific system of imparting the knowledge through the parampara of the disciplinic succession, which is so important because it ingradiates that kind of a relationship of a human value system from one person to the other, which is so important. The learning becomes so simple, so easy in such kind of a fashion because psychology plays a very important role in transferring the knowledge from the teacher. I don't want to call him as a guru, but maybe as a teacher. Guru has got a very high value and meaning. So as a teacher, as an adhyapak, to have that kind of a relationship, understand the student, the psychology, and then share that kind of a knowledge with him so that the essence of the knowledge is properly given to the student based on his psychology, based on his behavioral patterns. One understands this and then imparts the knowledge. So that system, like you rightly pointed out, has to be a kind of a systematic study, comparative study, such that there is a tolerance and understanding of every religion, irrespective of whatever is that religion. So religion is just one aspect of it, but it creates a kind of a discipline it creates a kind of a structure for people to learn the various other subjects, which could include the sciences, biology, technical or non-technical subjects. So good. I think we are really enjoying this session, which is the transformation of the youth through scriptures. Really fantastic. Appreciate, sir. Dilip Garu, you want to say something?
Actually, responding to, I think, since Dr. Barla is not connected, responding to the question raised by, or the query raised by Aparna, she has asked for the three parts of the
Anuvaka.
Upanishad. So one is Shikshavali, Anandavali, and Briguvalli. These are the three parts. The first is essentially the theoretical knowledge of the scriptures, which used to be taught at the Gurukuls. The second one is Anandavalli. It deals with how to come out of ignorance of self, or ignorance, knowledge about one inner self. How to come out of that ignorance. And the final one is Briguvalli, which is kind of a dialogue between the sage Varuna and his son, disciple Brigu. And this deals in the knowledge of the Supreme as such. So Brigu asks a series of questions to his father about the pure consciousness, or what we call it as Brahman. And father tells him to meditate and come back with the answers. So it is like teaching him the process of self-inquiry and self-learning, which is very important in today's world. And slowly we will move towards that. With AI coming in, with e-learning coming in. Now the boundaries are being thrashed. Of education boundaries are being thrashed. It is not limited to four walls. I could listen to one of the best teachers in physics, or I could or I could get trained by one of the best teachers in mathematics anywhere in the world. We are slowly moving towards that. So a day will come, then I don't need four walls, or I don't need to be aligned with a particular school.
Hello,
For
sir.
example, I'm a student of Kendra Vidyalaya, so and so, so and so. I don't need to do that. The Board of Education, or whichever is the controlling board, they just set the curriculum. It is students can know that, or parents who are guiding, mentoring their kids, they will know that, and they go to from where I can get best information on this particular portion of the curriculum, and I go. Now today it is happening that for certain things I go to Byju's, for certain things I go to Khan Academy, for certain things I go to some other, maybe some local teacher in mathematics. So for example, I am staying in UAE. There are many good teachers here, So if I can do a one-on-one session with one of the teachers in physics or mathematics here locally, I would go and do that and learn that particular subject from that guy. For other subject, maybe social studies, I could go to somebody in India, or for another subject, environmental sciences, I could go to somebody in, say, US or somewhere else, So the sky is the limit. So the educational landscape is changing very fast. So we all need to move, and these scriptures give you a certain kind of a grounding, certain kind of background, that what was the thought process in those days, when we didn't have internet, when we didn't have anything on such. So in a very generic terms, what is the meaning of education? What is the meaning of self-learning? And so on and so forth. Like I was mentioning to Dr. Barla also, and Niranjan also, that scripture is moving inwards. Knowledge of scriptures is moving inwards, that I try to know more about myself. Today's education is more outward oriented. So how to make a living. So whatever I need to make a living, I need to go to a school to do that, which is rather very funny, In olden days, people would have laughed at me that to know how to live, I need to go to a school. The biggest school is the life, actually. So we have forgotten the life and we are leading a kind of an artificial or a very psychological existence. And generations after generations, we keep on repeating the same thing, that my dad went to a school, college, then he had a family. I do the same thing. My son does the same thing. So that is more psychological existence. The actual life we have forgotten. So what these scriptures tell us or tells us or educate us is about to live the actual life, to learn whatever you want to learn, you learn it from the life. You don't have to go to a school to do that, I think if Dr. Barla has joined, maybe Niranjan can take over from here. Yeah. I hope Aparna is satisfied with the query. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
That's nice. Welcome, Aparna. So, do we have any other thought processes or queries? So it's open to the platform. We are at 7:37. We can go for another 10-15 minutes if there are queries, or we can close the session. But like rightly pointed out, this calls for the youth. Aparna and other students of Sujata Garu also. I really appreciate Sujata Garu for your effort for bringing the youth onto this platform. Actually, Aparna, you should also have a word with your, peer students and rest of them. Tell them that such kind of a platform is there, where there are different kind of resource
Sure,
people
sir.
who are there available for you all. Yeah. So they are all doctorates and they're all come from corporate worlds. People are there to help you on those directions. So please
Yes,
do have a word with your peers, friends, make
sure,
them
sir.
on this platform and then
Sir, that was actually a wonderful session. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. And my special thanks to Sujata ma'am for including me into this.
that's good. Okay, so I think if there are no more thought process or questions, then I'll take this opportunity to thank Dr. Venkat Barla Garu for giving his thought-provoking session on transformation of youth through the scriptures. It's a very important topic. We all need to work together on this particular subject matter. Though because of a little bit of technical issues in terms of the internet connectivity for rains and other things, that's okay, but still we are putting our best effort possible. And if need be, we will try to repeat this session next week once again, so that we will have a better thought process if need be. And Dr. Venkat Barla also accepts if that's what is the need, we will try to redo the thing. Yeah. With that, I thank all the participants for spending their wonderful week and with us here. Thank you, Sujata Garu. Thank you, Dilip Garu. Thank you, P.V. Rao Garu, for being there, and Aparna for being a wonderful listener and a participant there. Thanks all the August audience present here. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Take care of your health. Be healthy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye.
Swastika.